All right, everybody, we're rolling. Good morning. Hello, darlings and dears and friends and lovers. So something I forget to include in my disclaimers. I forget to include my disclaimers on YouTube sometimes, so I'm going to give y'all the rundown. Usually on Spotify, you can hear them, and I forget to put them on here. So, basically, this goes for all the videos, and my whole thing. The disclaimer is, I'm not a medical professional or a professional of any kind. This podcast doesn't give medical advice. I cite my sources of all the information that I give in my resource guide. And today, we are talking about accessible period care in the disabled community, in which I am not an expert. And I, nor my guest, speak for the whole community. We're covering a really broad spectrum of topics, and some topics specific to our guests. And in this episode, if we don't get to a topic or a disability that you want to hear about, please reach out to me, call me in, and maybe we can make another episode. So yeah, that is it. I'm Ash, and Ash is short for Ash from Wildfires Are Reducing the Air Quality. And if you want to send me love and give me compliments, my pronouns are they, them. I'm a biracial, bilingual, non-binary bleeder, and I'm here, I'm queer, and I don't drink beer. I'm celebrating 3 years and 7 months of sobriety and recovery on the 17th. And so today's like the 20th, just so you know. I'm on day 2 of my cycle. I am feeling pretty good, pretty energized. I'm starting to have menstrual cramps, which is unusual because usually I would have them a few days before. This cycle has been really weird because first it's a long cycle. It's been a 35-day cycle. I've expected my period now for about a week. And I started spotting on the 17th, and I thought that was it starting, but it wasn't. It was a spotting, and I don't usually spot. So I think it's due, I've been having a really hard luteal phase. I've been having more symptomatic with my mental illness. And so I'm wondering if the stress from that has pushed it. But generally everything's the same. I've been taking my magnesium, drinking less caffeine, doing all of that. So yeah, the cramps, the pain in general, the physical pain it's been minimal. Today is the first day I'm starting to feel crampy. But yeah, that's kind of how it's going. I think I'm just going to use my underwear. I gave my Diva Disc a try last cycle, but I will tell you more about that in a minute. Today, we have an incredible guest. And here they are! It's Eli!
Hello, Ash!
Hello!
Hello, everybody! Yay!
I don't have an applause. So
Woohoo! Yeah! Oh, I'm so happy to be here.
Introduce yourself.
Okay.
Tell us who you are.
Well, I'm Eli, and that is short for Eli's in bed all day. Okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I use they, them pronouns. I have a disability. I have cerebral palsy from birth, so I don't really know anything different. I am a disability advocate. I've done some disability equity work. I was just in Boston, as Ash will mention later, doing a presentation, but we'll talk about that later. And I am designing some logos for this lovely human pod.
Yeah, that you'll see pretty shortly. Do you want to tell us a bit about the logos?
Well, I'm not a professional graphic designer by any means. I'm a professional punster. I have a shirt on today that says I've got your back. And
yeah. With a little spine. Yeah. Yes.
But I'm not a professional graphic designer. But I met Ash and I was like, hey, I really love your podcast things And so I went on the Google images and I was like, hey, let's find bloody period things. So there's a few different designs that I'm working on. We're working on.
Yes.
I'm working
Collaborative.
on. And you're like, this looks good. This looks like somebody shot somebody in the vagina with a red paintball gun.
Yes.
But yeah, those will be available maybe in the next few months.
Yeah.
Years, months, days. I don't know what time is.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm designing those. And if you are interested in having me make some art for you, I'm available at Eli__so_fly. So it's Eli So Fly with underscores in the middle.
And I'll have those in the description of
Whoa.
the episode. Because that's how I roll.
Yeah.
Aside from the logos, what are you passionate about?
Oh gosh, so many things.
Yeah.
I'm passionate about theater,
Yes.
obviously.
Yes.
I like puns.
Yes.
And wordplay.
Passionate about puns.
Yes. Punching it, if you will.
Yes.
And wordisms. And I used to write a lot more than I currently do. Maybe I'll probably maybe get back into that. Probably maybe. I like that. I used to, when I lived back in Portland, I used to live in Portland, Oregon. And when I lived in Portland, I did lots of open mics. And people liked my poetry and
hell yeah,
applauded for me and stuff. And I had a microphone and felt like fancy.
Yes.
And I basically just wrote a presentation with my mom. So as I said, I was born with cerebral palsy, which mostly affects my balance and coordination and my physicality. And so the presentation was growing up in a Montessori classroom with a disability and how that affected not only the education I received, but I had therapy there. My physical therapist came to my school every week to work with me, and how that affected my peers, and just how I was included in the classroom, and it was really great. And I think I'm gonna post it on YouTube.
Yes, you should.
A little bit later.
Yes, and when you do, I'm gonna put that on. I'm gonna send it out to my listeners too.
Yeah.
So, Eli, what is your relationship to your cycle like?
Oh, well, it's kind of a bummer every month, to be honest.
Yeah.
But ever since I started listening to your podcast, I'm like, that's interesting. The energetic river I have every month. But when I started bleeding when I was a teenager, I was kind of like, oh, this is a bummer every month. And plus, with my physical differences, it just felt like a bummer. You know, I'm learning to celebrate it in my own way, I guess.
Yeah, and I'm totally into people who have a variety of experiences. Like, just because I'm so enthusiastic about my period, I feel like people should be able to share their discontentment with periods, because there's such a wide variety of things. Like, this idea that we need to have great periods, and those tampon commercials where they're like doing gymnastics and they're like, you could do anything with Playtex, and it's like, we don't need to do all that. Like, everybody can have their own unique experience with it, and we can connect on that fact. Like, for me though, because this is my special interest and I kind of treat it like such, I think I have a different perspective when it does cause me pain, because I'm like, I guess I think of it sometimes like a little science
Yeah.
experiment. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
what's going on
Well-
here? It's my luteal phase, and I'm on this day, and then
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's interesting, and I didn't know a whole lot about there are 4 phases.
yeah.
This is 4. Yeah,
Mhm,
this is
mhm.
4. Um, and I just think that's so like, wow, I'm in this phase. What am I feeling? I think I'm in my luteal phase right now.
Right on.
Like,
Yeah, pre-period.
yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
And I've been feeling pretty energized. However, I've also been traveling the last week to very exciting places and getting to meet new friends.
Yeah.
And
That's me. If
Yeah.
You didn't know.
yeah. Yeah, I've never met Ash in person, although we've been
Yeah.
online friends for like a year.
Yes.
And it's just amazing. I just feel I feel very I don't know. I just feel good. Thinking about what mood I'm in tandem with where I am in my cycle, and just, you've made me think, Ash. You've made me think.
I'm a thinker.
Yeah.
I'm
Not
so
a
glad.
drinker.
Exactly.
Ah!
Yes, you got it. Thank you so much for sharing that. That makes me feel very validated with what I'm doing, and I appreciate it.
Good. Yay.
Well, are you ready to dive into our topic? Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to tell you what we're talking about. All right, we are on.
We're
okay.
back.
We're back. Hold on. All right, so our topic today is
Periods in the disability community.
Woo! Yes.
Yeah.
So, I want to talk a little bit about, first off, up top, is person first language and identity first language.
I talked about that yesterday.
Yeah? Is there anything you want to share before I read those definitions?
No, I think you should read them first to let people know what it is.
Okay, so.
And then I will insert.
They are two ways to talk. Well, there's probably more than 2 ways, but these are a couple ways to talk about the disabled community. Person first language puts the person before the type of disability. So, for example, person who has autism, or she has a hearing impairment. So that would be person first language, putting the subject before the disability. Identity first language is mentioning the disability first, so autistic person or deaf person. And this is a way in which people will embrace their disability as part of their identity and connecting them to a larger group of people. So some people prefer the latter, or, it's kind of preferential for some people.
Exactly. I was just going to say that. So in disability justice, we talk about that controversy, debate, whatever you want to call it. I think person first language is more like PC. I think that, especially able-bodied people don't want to be disrespectful or, so that's kind of pushed in disability justice groups, I guess. However, I have talked to my friends within the disability community, and their argument for identity first language is that their diagnosis is such a part of them that they're almost like proud of it, so to the point that they want to almost put it in the forefront.
Yeah.
Which makes sense to me, but I think to people who don't understand that, they feel like, oh, it's disrespectful. I don't want to reduce this person down to just having autism or just having CP or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. And CP is another term for cerebral palsy, which is my My diagnosis.
And so when people mention about you, do you prefer to say, oh, Eli has CP or CP? I don't know.
Yeah,
do you
well,
prefer...
semantically it makes more sense because in our presentation, actually, our example was Eli with cerebral palsy instead of cerebral palsied Eli, which is like, wait, cerebral palsy is you wouldn't say cerebral palsied.
Yeah, or cerebral palsistic.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That doesn't sound right. Although, like autistic.
Or deaf and blind. It's like they can be adjectives almost.
Yeah. That's the right word.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Thanks. I did it.
You did it. Yeah. Or like Ehlers-Danlos.
Right. Okay. So it might depend even on the disability.
Yeah. It really depends on, like you said, the person.
Because, I want to know, in case our listeners are listening and they want to talk about you specifically and say, oh, I listened to this episode with Eli, would you rather them say, oh, and Eli has a disability, or this disabled person named Eli? What is your, kind of feeling about
I think
that?
the first one.
Okay, great.
That I listened to the podcast with the person who has a disability.
Yeah.
For some reason, I feel like when somebody says disabled person, that sounds like a put down.
Right.
But it's not really.
Right. Yeah.
But
like if we're living in a truly inclusive world, it wouldn't be.
But autistic person doesn't sound like a put down. I think it's more specific.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
I think when you get down to the specific of the disability where people feel pride about it because it's so specific to them, I think, it might sound less like a put down for sure. Yeah. Yeah. I just want to give my listeners some options if they want to talk about this episode with their friends, and that's why I tell my pronouns, in case people want to talk shit, or if they want to be like, oh yeah, Ash is a totally cute person, they're really awesome. Yeah. That kind of stuff too. That's why I want to give everybody contextual language to use.
Maybe this is going a little off topic, but and I'll say it quickly, but I think some people use like spaz, like someone who's really, but some people would think that's a big insult because people are spastic sometimes. They have spasticity. Or like if someone says, oh, that's so gay for being stupid, that it's kind of comparable to that.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like using an identity as an insult. Yeah, which isn't okay.
Or you're saying someone's psycho.
Right. Yeah.
Because people have psychoses.
Exactly, yeah. That is really great to put out there because, when we're talking about these things, like person first language and identity first language, we're talking about, like, what's going to be the most respectful, but the inverse of that is also talking about language that is made to be disrespectful, and those are some of the ways that people use that language to be disrespectful. So now you know some of those things. You know how to speak about it respectfully, and you know what not to do to speak about it disrespectfully. And I think attention really plays a part.
Well, and I think you're going to talk about something next that kind of plays into this.
I think so. I think you're right. Well, so like I mentioned, we're going to talk about a really broad spectrum, and we don't speak for everybody in the disabled community, so it's always best to ask specific person to person kind of thing, but the spectrum of disabilities one can have are restrictions in mobility, reduced visual, auditory, and speech, cognitive and differences in cognitive and neurological capabilities. So even the word disability can be limiting because it can describe a wide variety of things. It's a spectrum. Yeah. So we're not going to be able to list them all, but we might have more specific episodes going forward.
I'm sure that, maybe y'all aren't aware, but as we age, our body has some interesting things happen. And so disability is not always something you're born with or you have acquired in childhood. Disabilities can progress over time. Especially people who have been through trauma can get PTSD, which is, I am not sure if it's in I think it's in the DSM-5, so it's definitely a mental illness.
And it can be debilitating.
Yeah, but it's also considered a disability. ADHD is not a physical impairment, and some people would say, oh yes, it's totally a disability. Like, disability is such a relative term nowadays, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think when somebody hears like the word disability, I guess I think this way sometimes too, is like they were born with something or something happened at birth or childhood, but not necessarily. Mm-hmm. People can be disabled over time. So disabled is a noun, but it also can be a verb.
Right.
Like you can be disabled by no ramps, for example. Or,
yeah. But here's some stats with some numbers. The CDC says 1 in 4 Americans have a disability. So 1 in 4. That's 20%, I think. 25. Yeah, whatever. Okay, I'm not good at the numbers. A few different sources says that 15% of the world's population has a disability. So that's about 1 billion people in the world at any given time. The probability that you will have a disability increases as you age. And the WHO, not like the World Health Organization, not the band. Not the band. Yeah, who? They might say it too.
Who says?
You know that who hit. You might get a disability. Anyway, no, the World Health Organization says that in countries with a life expectancy higher than 70, people will spend approximately 8 years, or 11.5%. of their life with a disability. So if you have, so in America, I think we have the life expectancy to be 70. So about 8 years of our life will be spent with a disability. So this brings me to talking about one way to look at it, another way to look at it is the social model of disability. Not everybody uses this model, but I thought it was interesting to share when I looked at this. So the social model of disability is the idea that society is what sometimes causes debilitation, and it brings attention the barriers of the environment. And if you want to look at it glass half full, you could say, like, it brings attention to the accessibility of the environment,
exactly.
you know. So it asks questions like, is this building wheelchair accessible? Does this event have a sign language interpreter? Does this school have an attendance policy for people with chronic fatigue? Is this website or social media post accessible for blind and deaf people? And even though this model does leave room for parts of disability like pain or malaise, that no matter how accessible some place can be, you can still have an impairment for a barrier to participation. But because of that reason as well, not everybody uses this model because there are some places that can be as accessible as possible, but with certain disabilities, you're going to still have a barrier to getting there. So not everyone uses this model, but I think it's interesting because what we want to do is make things more accessible, and that's it.
Which leads us into...
I'm
pointing to the camera because we have notes.
Yeah.
I'm not just like, hey.
Which leads us into you,
yes.
listener. Okay.
Leads us to you
Which
guys.
leads us into ableism.
Yay.
There's a lot of definitions of it, but the one that I like is ableism is thinking that the average person is without a disability by default, or it creates the assumption that any person is not disabled. At its core, it's discrimination and social prejudice against people with disabilities, and that able bodies are superior. Thank you. I did my research. I did. I'm doing good?
Good for you.
Yay, okay. So this is something that able-bodied people in our society as a whole needs to continually address and work on, so we can change our infrastructure to be more accessible. Because many of disabled people do live in poverty.
Yeah.
And those stats that I read imply that many able-bodied people will become disabled, and disabled people can be born into any family at any time.
There's a person who was one of my mentors in Portland and is unfortunately no longer with us, but she had a shirt that said "Cure Ableism," and I think that was like, oh,
that's so great.
But I also want to insert here that I mean, ableism is not always malicious. I think that it is dependent on so many things. Like, if not having a ramp is technically ableism, but if your building if you live in an older building, or if it's too expensive for you, or, be understood what I'm trying to say,
it's not always malicious.
Sometimes it's inherent, I guess. But on the adverse side, ableism can be totally intentional too. It's like, oh, we could have a ramp, but we're not going to because we suck.
Exactly. Yeah. So it can be intentional or unintentional, and I think bringing just more awareness to the ways like that you might be unintentionally inaccessible to people, like for people with a big social media following, like kind of recognizing like, oh, should I put alternative texts on my post? Should I have captions, etc. Just bringing awareness into ways like it is a way to help like combat cure ableism in a way. Yeah, but it doesn't mean that it's necessarily that you're doing anything wrong, it sounds like.
It's just you're uninformed, or you didn't grow up thinking that way, or or like you, it's a lot of the time it's just uninformed, and you don't think about it because you're not around a lot of disabled people, or
right.
And
that's why we're making this really awesome episode. So this is the part where it gets a little more relevant when we're talking about it on Bloodstained. So I'm going to tell you some facts about period equity or inequity within the disabled community. So here's just some facts that I listed off, and feel free to interrupt at any time.
Okay.
So bleeders with disabilities often report complications with menstruation like pain and heavy bleeding, which are the classics. Existing educational materials about menstruation might not include relevant information for people with disabilities. So, for example, if your body is different, or if you use different medical devices, or just a variety of things. And it can also exclude accessibility for people with different learning requirements. So you might have a sex ed teacher that just might just be teaching it lecture style, and some people can't take it in that way. They might not even have resources for deaf and blind students. Changing products also often and in general can be difficult because there can be a variety of complications. Some products are not always available. Like you go into places and they might just have tampons, or they might just have pads. And the reason why we have so many types of products is so that it can be accessible, especially in public spaces. Also, bathrooms. Bathrooms can make changing pretty inaccessible as well.
Mm-hmm.
Also, a lack of wheelchair accessibility. Oh yeah, I did mention that.
Mm-hmm.
With bathrooms or even private areas with running water, which can increase infection when you're changing stuff.
Mm-hmm. I thought about, and fortunately I wasn't on my period at the time, but I stayed at a place with a composting toilet.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're on your period, you need water and like more than just a bucket and sawdust.
Yeah.
You know? Or like, I know that this is kind of not totally necessary, but like with menstrual discs or menstrual cups, between periods you pour out the blood. And so if there's not a sink nearby, that can be, I mean, at least for me, I dump it out in the sink and rinse it out before I...
Yep.
And if there's a sink across the room, you're like,
yeah.
How do I walk with my shit's all bleeding?
Exactly. So side tangent.
Yeah.
So the first time I tried using my disc, I was in a park. That wasn't the first time. Like, I had put it in before going to the park. Okay, I'm not just like, I'm at the park, I should try my disc.
Yeah.
But I was at this park in this bathroom, public bathroom, and I took it out because it was leaking. But the sink was like 20 feet away from the toilet.
Yeah.
So it was so complicated. So I was like, okay, I don't want to put this down on the floor.
Right.
And I have to pull up my pants, and I have to run to the sink. And if somebody comes in during that time, it's going to be fucking... Yeah. So I literally, like, with one hand, holding the thing, trying not to get blood anywhere, pulling on my pants, getting out of the stall... And I, like, booked it because there was people around. So I was, like, not, like, in the bathroom, but, like, that could have gone in the bathroom. So I ran to the sink, and it's one of those, like...
motion
yeah, so I'm, like, shoving my diva disc in there like this. And then, like, the blood's, like, everywhere in the sink. God. I'm just like, oh, my God. Yeah, it was... No. Anyway, so if that gives you any idea...
Yeah, it's...
of what that can be like.
Yeah, it's a bit traumatic sometimes when there's not access to things.
To water. Yeah. And as we mentioned in the previous episode, 500 million people live in period poverty, and disabled people are statistically more likely to live in poverty. Yeah. So, which can be difficult when trying to find the accessible product that's good for you, and then just needing to have a constant supply of that. One thing that I kept reading over and over again was WASH, which stands for Water, Sanitation, Hygiene. And it's something that's in every article I read about disability. Essentially, there's a need for more water and sanitation in general, especially for those that are reusing products like cups and discs. Because like I mentioned, like there's like in some places that are really in poverty, they are reusing products that aren't reusable, and so the idea is, okay, like, let's get discs and cups in their hands so they don't have to keep buying products, but then what they really need is clean water and soap. Yeah. And those facilities and those reusable products need to be accessible, you know? Yeah. I even read a study about disaster relief, and people were choosing not to go to the evacuation center because of the lack of disability-friendly washrooms and the lack of privacy to help with the needs of the bleeders with disabilities. I know, yeah. So I have just such increased compassion for trying to make it, for trying to, not just push one type of product, because sometimes I think we get into this idea like, okay, let's get like discs and reusable pads and let's get them out to everyone so we don't produce more waste or, and we really need to think about everybody when we think about period care.
Yeah, sometimes pads are like the best option for somebody. It's, in my opinion, not the most environmentally friendly either. But, they're kind of the easiest to use.
So we can't be discriminatory. I don't diss any like anyone for using any type of product. Like the products that I've bashed on here, if you need to use those products because they work for you, that's great. I'm gonna still say, like, I hate those products because they did this and this to me, and I was, you know, but that might be the ticket to somebody having a peaceful period, and that's incredible, you know?
Yeah, and I just want to say, and this doesn't necessarily go for period products, but yeah, with any type of product, if it's less environmentally friendly or creates more waste, but it's easier to use, don't fucking bash that person. Oh, I'm sorry.
Exactly.
But don't bash that person.
Yeah.
That's actually happening.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's why I don't bash, like, people who use birth control either. Because even though I use a natural method of birth control, some people might not. And for some people, that can seem like, oh, you're suppressing your natural cycle. But you know what? For some people, they need to do that.
Yeah, some people are busy and have, like, crazy schedules, and you can't always do the thing that's, like, the best for the environment.
Everyone's just, we're all trying our best with the equipment that we got. With the equipment that we got, and I celebrate it all, and despite, like, my strict reviews and shit on my products, I am recognizing that everybody probably needs the products that I am talking about too.
Take it all with a grain of salt.
Not to mention, other products like tampons and cups, they require a lot of arm, hand, and finger use. So inserting and taking out can be difficult for people. Yeah. Some people might experience difficulty because other devices like catheters and wheelchairs. And some, because of the phases, the changes in the hormones.
I never even thought of catheters and periods.
Yes. Yeah.
Yikes.
So because of changes in your hormones in different phases, like I mentioned this before, the increased prostaglandins in the luteal phase can sometimes cause inflammation and a lot of physical symptoms. But in somebody with a disability like epilepsy or Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, these things can cause like migraines and seizures and other epileptic symptoms, which is why practicing tracking is pretty important. Also, people with autism report increased sensory distress during this time during their periods, and also reduced emotional regulation during their cycle, especially in those luteal phase. Of course, and pads can cause sensory discomfort, which is And honestly, I think for anyone, pads can cause. The pads are pretty. And it's up to, another part I want to mention, like manufacturers, stores, facilities, schools, period products, and period education, any place can benefit from learning more about this community and learning from this community. And regardless of that, not even benefit from it, it is necessary.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I actually just wanted to talk about the Dylan Mulvaney thing you just said.
Yes! Yes. Hi, Dylan. I hope you're hearing. We love you.
Yeah. Follow us, please. Yes. Yeah, she got bashed for carrying around tampons, even though she doesn't use tampons because she does not have a uterus. People around her use them. And she got up a lot of hate because she's a trans person, and she was saying something like, if dads or brothers or boyfriends carried tampons, they would be praised because they're like, good on you for helping out your girl or helping out your daughter. But trans
people always want to help other trans people and bleeders, and
it's like
we think about people.
Yeah, it's like we gotta help each other out, y'all.
Yeah, even if it's not happening to us, it's happening, and you want to support, you know, and you're not gonna like be like, oh well, that's your problem.
Yeah,
not my problem. You know,
karma.
Yeah,
karma, folks.
Yeah. Do you want to share anything else about this topic, like your personal connection or something that's made menstruation easier for you, and what's made it more difficult?
Well, definitely private bathrooms. I use, well, right now I use a reusable menstrual disc called the Ziggy cup, I think. And it's pretty good. I've only used it for 2 cycles, but I used to use the soft discs, which are disposable, but I usually used one for my whole cycle, so I'd have to reinsert it, and I definitely needed access to water, and it was great if the sink was like right next to the toilet, so I wouldn't have to like awkwardly get up and do the penguin walk and all that shit.
Has switching to cups made it better?
Oh, yeah. So I started out using tampons because really that's what I knew. Like, you use tampons for your period. I actually didn't know what a menstrual cup was or anything. But I have really light periods. I only bleed heavily like one day, if that. And they're getting shorter and shorter as I am getting older and closer to menopause. And tampons could get really uncomfortable, and like if I put in a regular one and I was bleeding a lighter flow that day, it would almost get
like friction, right?
Yeah.
Like
friction,
I get that.
Friction, and also like it was like the sensory thing of like nails on the top.
Yes, you really like, feel it more because it's right.
You really do.
Yeah,
and I was so concerned with toxic shock.
Yeah,
too, because sometimes with my weirdness around periods that I talked about before when we opened the episode, sometimes like I don't want to think about it. So with the disc, it's like I can leave it in there and I'm not gonna like potentially die. Or get a horrible disease. Woo!
Yeah. What a relief.
No dying from bleeding. Woo.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I think let's take a quick break, and we're going to return with some final thoughts and stories about this topic, and be right back. All right, we are back. Hello. And we're still on this topic, but we're on this part that is uplifting and lovely. These are some positive facts and things. So, some things that I found are really exciting. V-couple. It's spelled V-I-K-P. Oh, fuck, I spelled that one.
V-I-K-A-P-L.
Yes, thank you. And the Pearl Academy of Fashion developed the Kahani Hermahinki. It's a menstruation kit for the visually impaired. For bleaters. And,
Bleachers?
Bleeders.
Oh.
Yeah. Like bleeders. Visually impaired. So yeah, it's a great menstruation kit.
What if goats bled?
Goats?
They would be bleeding bleachers.
Goats?
Yeah.
What do you mean bleachers?
No, bleaters, because they bleat.
Oh, I get it.
Bleeding bleachers.
They'd be bleaters, yes. I'm sure goats do menstruate because they're mammals.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll look it up.
Okay.
We gotta put that, Oh yeah. We gotta bleachers.
Bleeding bleachers.
So, people in the community have started sharing what they've learned in order to help other people navigate their period while having a disability. So I'm going to tell you some really cool people that you need to go follow if you're interested.
I learned a lot.
So Molly Burke, who is blind and on YouTube, has a great video on how she sees her period without actually seeing it, and it's awesome. And she just has a lot of great content on, yeah, awesome person. Molly Burke, Burk.
Yeah.
Robin Stewart, who has autism, wrote the book The Autism Friendly Guide to Periods. So Robin spelled Robyn, Stewart Steward. All of these will be in the resource guide, so don't worry if you miss it. Melissa Blake wrote an essay on what it's like to get your period in a wheelchair, which is very, very good. Very good article. Check it out. The MS Society has a helpful Q&A about periods and contraceptions on their website. And one thing that I'm really excited about that I did show Eli is Josephine and Jack.
Gosh.
Josephine and Jack, you all
They're
need to...
so much more than period care.
If nothing else, you need to look up Josephine.
Go look up Jack and Josephine.
And it's in the UK. It's an organization that uses anatomically correct life-size plush dolls to discuss and educate people with learning disabilities about their bodies. And you need to see these dolls. They are life-size.
Yeah.
They have a variety of complexions. They have testicles, they have labias and clitorises. Some of them have babies inside them. Some of them have lumps.
Some of them have lumps, yeah, in their testes and breasts.
Yeah, so they could talk about how to check for these things. If they've been invited to get a pap smear, just all the things.
Yeah, well, and it's really good to teach people about consent.
Exactly.
Which is not talked about in sex education.
They even talked about how they teach people how to use a condom in the thing as well.
Well, and also I think for people with maybe some sensory issues, it's easier to touch another thing instead of their own body.
Yeah.
And so this makes that happen.
And you really need to look at the dolls. You need to see, what did you think of the way they look?
Ooh, that's, yeah.
I
like the way they made the heads.
Yeah.
And the way the person that was sewing them talked about it.
Yes.
That little clip-it.
It was interesting because they were like sewing the way that the person sews their face is kind of like those weaving circles, and you just see this huge face. It's just so cool. Check out the dolls, Josephine and Jack. Yeah. And then that brings me to a period care company and a lingerie company have come together to make an ad that centers the disabled community. So it's August. August is a gender inclusive period care company, and Libraire, which they make adaptable lingerie and sleepwear. So they joined together. They made TikToks. So they have some cool viral TikToks about their ad process. They're making ads with models with disabilities, and they're so freaking good. You can follow Nadia Okamoto, so NADYAOKAMOTO, or you can look up the hashtag August Libraire, AUGUSTLIBRARE, to see the models. The models are the Libraire ambassador, Crystal Bailey. The other model is Brie Celesi, and a community member, Elisha Tate. And they look so good. And a lot of them are in wheelchairs. Yeah.
Can I just say something?
Yes.
I think that, again, we're not speaking for everyone with a disability, but I would say this is more common, is people with disabilities self-confidence is so having the opportunity to have disabled models is it's such a self-esteem booster, and anything I hear about people highlighting other folks with disabilities, it's just like, yes.
Yeah.
More people.
It's so cool. And what I really liked about this, aside the fact that they are absolute babes, is that they are wearing the lingerie, and with the lingerie, they are not hiding the fact that they're on their periods.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, one of them was wearing pads with the lingerie, and it was like highlighting that. And I just think that is so cool because it needs to be normalized, whether it's like in a regular environment or a sexual environment, because it's going to happen, it's bound to happen, and it's bound to be talked about. And so I just think it's so cool that they are having discussions about disabled people being sexy and empowered, periods, and being gender inclusive about it. Like it's just a really badass campaign. Mm-hmm. So go check it out, August Libre. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anything else you want to say about it?
Nope.
Word.
Awesome.
Yeah, and so that is the end of our topic, and I will add all of these to the resource guide, so you will see them on there, and that is the end of that. Sort of. But yeah, we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Right now, we are going to do our period story. In other words, our blood stains. Yeah. So I'm gonna share a story.
Just connected that.
Yeah, exactly. Oh! Stains. Yes.
Stains on the world of the period times.
So I'm gonna share a story. I gave Eli some options. They picked the one where I talk about middle school. In my lies, my series of lying. So, in middle school, people kind of had like this weird thing where when you have your period, it's a source of pride, but it's also a source of shame because if you show any signs of it in public, that's embarrassing. So it's just such a weird thing because people were like, I got my period. Mm-hmm. I got my period. I'm an adult. I'm more grown up than you, and I'm more mature.
I'm 14 and I already...
But if you had a fucking leak, people would be like, oh my god, this is like terrible. Oh my god, I have to go to the nurse's office. Like, this is embarrassing. I can't believe it. So it's such a weird thing going on, right? Mm-hmm. So I was in middle school. I think I was in 6th grade. 6th grade. Mm-hmm. No, wait here. Wait, hold on here.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're sorry.
So in 6th grade, I thought I was gay. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. No, I already knew by then. But I was kind of like in the mindset of, I want to get my period. Everybody told me that I was about to get my period because I was so depressed and stuff. And they were like, oh, you're just about to get your period. And anyway, so I wanted to get my period. And I had already thought that I had my period because of that story a couple episodes ago where I thought I broke my hymen.
Oh, you're in the swing.
Yeah, so like...
You were like
I was in 5th grade, yeah. Oh. So the grade before, I was like, well, I think I might have gotten it one time. Gosh. But, you know, obviously I wasn't having it. And so I was like, maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I kind of could lie to myself about it.
Yeah.
At one time, we were in the bathroom. And these kind of girls that are cooler than me were there. And I was like, somebody was like, I don't remember. They were like talking about like somebody who might be getting their period, or I think somebody had left like a pad out, and they were like, oh, someone had a pad, like what? And then I was like, yeah. And I kind of chime in, and I'm like, yeah, because they probably had their period, and that's normal. And they were like, oh, okay, yeah. Did you get your period? And I was like, yeah, I got it. I didn't
Yeah.
get it. I didn't have it. I didn't have my period. So if that was you and you're listening, I lied to you. I didn't have my period. I wasn't cool. I was not cool, but I wanted to be that one that was like, yeah, periods are what we do, and it's okay that somebody had a pad, and I had my period, and it's cool, and I have it all the time.
Yeah.
I have my period all the time.
You have it every day.
Yeah. But I didn't have my period. I was still not bleeding, but I just wanted to
Oh
feel
my gosh.
superior in some way, like I had like breached a new world, like I was more informed about puberty, because like we didn't have sex ed in 6th grade.
Well,
We kind of had like the basics, but we got into it in 7th grade. So I just wanted to feel like I was more informed. So I told these girls that I had my period, and I would kind of talk about it in a way that would imply that I had it without having to like say that I had it, right? What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say, I totally thought you were gonna talk about something else, but this makes more sense.
Yes.
You lied one time when you were not bleeding.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I thought you were gonna talk about like you were bleeding, but you lied about that.
And I'm like, no, I'm not.
I'm like, you're like, no, I just have this weird, bloody pee.
Yeah.
And I just wet
I'm
myself.
just like peeing. Something just like way more intense. Yeah.
God, I'm such an idiot.
I just have kidney disease and
We are in the right place.
Yes, we are. And so I got my period. I think either it was like the end of. I remember distinctly, and I'm not going to go into my first period story, but I will give you a hint about it because I always remember. It was on April 20th.
Oh, God.
And so I think it was the like second half of either 6th grade or it was in the second half of 7th grade. But I want to say it was like the second half of 6th grade. I don't quite remember. But I know it was April 20th. And after that, I was so embarrassed. So for like a long time, I was like, I'm gonna have my period. It's so cool. Once I got it, I had no idea like how debilitating it was gonna be in school because I wasn't coached on when I need to. I kind of was. I had the basics. But I didn't know how much I was going to bleed. Like, I didn't know how much me personally was going to bleed. And I wasn't sure how to sit in a classroom all day in fucking white chairs. Yeah.
That's torture.
I know. Yeah. And so...
White chairs?
In white chairs.
Are you serious?
And luckily, this was the time when I was very punk and goth. And so I was always wearing black... Always wearing black pants. Yeah. But they were always like skinny jeans and shit. So it still was like, oh shit, like, oh my God. And it was so anxiety inducing. And so then after that, I was trying to hide it for all it's worth. Like when I was in the bathroom opening the pads, I was like, so it wouldn't crinkle. Yeah, so it wouldn't crinkle. I was like putting it in my sleeve so people wouldn't see it or just like hiding it. And I was like, oh man, like now I need to bring a purse everywhere. And so it was such a weird thing from going from lying to be like, I got my period, I'm a pro, to, oh shit.
Well, and also punks don't get their period.
Classic,
Like punk is about, what am I trying to say?
I don't know.
It's all about revolting, and periods are like every person with the uterus gets them, and you're like, but no, I can't. Anarchy.
Oh my God.
What?
You just said something that reminded me of...
I did!
Yes, yes! Okay, what we're freaking out...
That was a really great 5, too.
That was a good 5. Well, just, yeah.
Let's try a third time.
Yeah,
first time was
first time was the best. So, the reason why that was so cool is because, okay, realistically, punk is a... Well, I can't tell you what punk is about, but I can tell you that fucking punks bleed.
Yeah.
I had to make sure that the title of this podcast wasn't gonna step on any punk band's toes. Cause yeah, like there's some like really cool punk bands that are like, we fucking talk about tampons and blah, blah. It's awesome, and I love it so fucking much.
There's a side note. Sorry, there's a punk band of all-female people with Down syndrome.
Fuck yeah! Oh my god!
I think they're a punk band.
Okay,
they might be not a punk band, but they're all female with Down syndrome.
Yeah, like there's like this really cool band called Bleeders. I cite them on my resource guide because they talk a lot about menstruation, uterine things. It's so fucking punk. And anarchy. And the reason we bring that up is because the word anarchy rhymes with menarche. Menarche is the first time you have your period. And that's something I've like been seeing in all of these articles that I'm reading. Everything's like, when someone has menarche, and I'm like, menarche? That's so fucking badass, like, menarche.
You know what that reminds me of is monarch butterflies.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Just side note.
Yes. Menarche is a really cool word because it sounds like anarchy and monarch butterflies.
Yeah.
And monarch butterflies are the most punk of all butterflies.
Because they're so rare.
They are, yes. Yeah.
I love this conversation.
Me too.
My mom, who's watching, hi mom, is gonna be like, oh my god, they're so goofy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
When you said you got your first person,
my menarche.
your menarche.
Yeah.
On April 20th, which some people is like a holiday because like food.
Listen and praise it.
I got my first period on Memorial Day.
Oh, wow!
It was a very Memorial Day.
Yeah, that is momentous. Yeah. Oh my gosh!
But I was also 16.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people get their menarche at like age 10 now or 9, and I'm like,
yep.
I got mine at 16.
One of the lucky ones. Yeah. Well, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, if it was me, if I got my period later, I would have fucking lied. I'd been like, yeah, I got my period, until I was, until I actually got it.
Because all your friends are like,
doing it.
Yeah, I've had my period for years. Like,
Right.
But in hindsight, I'm like, I didn't have to worry about like evening at school. Well, I mean,
you kind of did because you didn't know.
But it was summertime,
right?
So I had 3 months practice.
That's so important. Yeah. So if you're gonna have your period, your first menarche, try to have it during the summer. Yeah,
make a deal with like the biology fairy.
Yeah,
and just be like, all right, guys.
Yeah, make it work.
Spring break, Christmas break.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not in September or October.
Yeah.
Like,
those are the times.
Although October, Halloween.
This is an interesting question. Is the reason we don't wear white after Labor Day because
we're devil?
It's so we don't bleed through our pants during the start of the school year.
Oh God!
I don't know.
That's so. I don't know. We're like
exclusions.
Going on so many
I know. Yeah,
we love it.
Yeah, we'll wrangle us back in. I think. Yeah. So.
Period story. Me.
That's that was all of my period story. I lied, and then I was ashamed. Well, I lied about having my period, and then when I got it, I was ashamed of my period, and then, and now I'm really not ashamed. So, there's been a progression here, character development, as you can tell. So, Eli.
Moral of the story, arrogance is not always
and the other moral of the story
I don't know.
is that menarche is actually really cool.
Because of butterflies.
Because of butterflies, and that's it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, tell us your period story.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry.
Oh, my God.
Okay, sorry. Wait, let me make a better one.
Well, I was laughing, so.
Period story.
What? Ma? Yeah. Well, I'm sure she doesn't watch this or know anything about it, but if she is, Megan, I love you so much. Thank you for helping me with, well, anyway.
Thanks, Megan.
You all are like, yeah, thanks, Megan.
Yeah.
You're the best.
We love you.
We love you. So I was 16. I was 16 going on 17. Should I tell my story in a song?
If you want to.
Oh. I was 16 going on 17 and Megan was my cousin. The first time I used a tampon, I was really scared because I didn't want to shove anything in there.
Mm-hmm.
But my cousin Megan said, Eli, it's okay, I can help. And she stuck the tampon in my hoo-ha, and we hugged it out, and we really love each other. And it was like a beautiful moment of, like, camaraderie of, like, bleeding people. And, oh my God, my cousin, I haven't talked to her in so long, but we were tight. I mean, she had her fingers in me. Like,
yeah, so that's pretty close.
Yeah, not in me, but like kind of on the cusp.
It's a really intimate moment.
It was very intimate. I was like, wait.
You have to be pretty comfortable, and
yeah.
Because sometimes people won't be in that situation, but this sounds like it was so connecting, and also those stories can really like normalize those types of situations for other people. Yeah. Especially first time tampon users and just like any type of product when it's your first time, like being in support of each other. Because like my first time using a disc, like 2 months ago. It's pretty weird, and so I'm glad that I talk about it now, you know. But so like I'm sure people hearing that probably have similar experiences to that too.
Well, and I also want to bring up the fact that like people have different sizes of holes, and like your parts are in different places. Yeah, I found out recently that I have a tilted uterus, and so that's why I leak a lot.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Megan. You are Megan. The real MVP. We love you. Yeah. Well, those are good stories. Thank you. And those were our appearance stories. Yeah. We're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back and tell you what product we are gonna review. So we're gonna talk about soft discs.
Not soft tacos, though.
Yeah.
Because you said we're going to talk about, and I said not tacos. But soft discs, soft tacos.
Exactly.
I'm fucking weird, y'all. Sorry.
How was your experience with soft disc?
Oh, gosh. So relief-inducing.
Okay, great.
Easier.
Yeah.
Because I had been using tampons. Thank you again, Megan.
Thank you. Thank you, Megan.
And anyway, soft discs. Tampons were so this girl I started dating in Portland was the one thing that I really thank her for is teaching me that these exist and that you can put them in for 12 hours.
Yeah.
But I kept them in for 24. Oops.
Ooh.
I was a rebel.
Yeah.
Well, I was a menarchist.
Yeah, you are a menarchist. Yes.
But well, because there's no, you don't stick anything up there, so
yeah.
I can't get toxic shock.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
exactly.
Or actually, you did stick something up there.
Yeah, you did, but less
but
likely
it's
to
not
get TSS.
Absorbing shit.
Yes.
Yeah, I used soft disc, which is the name of the brand that I used, and very flexible. So I just basically pinched it, and I don't have great fine motor skills, but I can do this. I can do this.
Yeah.
And then the only thing that I had trouble with is like shoving it up there high enough, because if you don't, it came out. It lowered to the point where it was painful. And actually, the last few months I used it, I didn't put it in the right position, and so it would come out. And I think I know the reason why is because my cervix is not like directly up there.
Oh, right.
I kind of have
tilt. Yeah.
So that's why it kept like coming out a little bit, and so that was kind of a pain in the ass. It was painful, and I leaked a lot. But I mean, fortunately, I don't have a very heavy flow, and so it wasn't like a huge issue. But when it came out of place, I was definitely like, oh my god, this hurts. I need to take it out.
Yeah.
So if there wasn't a bathroom close by, that kind of sucked.
Right.
But it was pretty easy to use other than that.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, since we haven't talked about a disc before, I'm going to get a super brief debrief of what it is and how it works and how it's different from a cup. So the disc is a blood catcher like the cup, and so like we mentioned, rather than absorbing it, it's collected into a little small shallow bowl shaped thing, and so it looks like this. This is a different brand than the soft disc.
Oh,
so
that's like fancy.
Yeah, so this one's a little fancy, but generally they're in a kind of like bowl shape like this. They have a rim, and what Eli was talking about with pinching it, you pinch it like this.
Yeah.
And so it's like
this.
It doesn't
give any resistance
and
either.
you bloop.
Yeah.
So that's how that kind of works. And it goes up towards, so like a cup sits just in the canal where a tampon would sit. This goes all the way up towards, if this was your cervix, towards your cervix. And it tucks in, the way it stays in place rather than suction, it stays in place by being tucked behind your pubic bone.
Yeah, that was the tricky part.
Yeah, which can be very tricky.
Yes. Especially for someone that is disabled.
Yes.
Full circle.
Yes. So then what you have to do to get it out, basically, is you have to push like you're shitting. Basically, you take
bear down.
Yeah, they say bear down, which just makes me think like, all right, but really, what they mean by that is push like you're shitting or having a child, and then you push. That helps push it down. You use a finger to unhook the rim, and you pull it out. And so there are many reasons why someone would use a disc. Similar to cups. Less waste and less money, even if you're using disposable ones, because you can wear them for 12 hours. Or 24. Low-key 24.
Low-key 24.
There's no suction, so if that's your preference, then if you don't want the suction that a menstrual cup does, then this might be good.
Or if it's a weird concept, too.
Yes. It's deeper inside you, so there isn't anything left in the vaginal canal, which can be more comfortable because there's less irritation and dryness at the opening. And because it is deeper inside of you and sits just near your cervix, the canal is clear, so it's an ideal way to have mess-free period sex of any kind, even if it's penetrative sex. Reason number 5 is that, like the cup, people report less cramps because tampons expand and put pressure on the walls.
Oh! When I stopped using tampons, I stopped having cramps.
Yeah! Yes.
Yay, cups and discs.
Yeah, and the porous material in tampons allow bacteria to collect in the pockets. And, the Smarty Pants vulva knows to push those things out.
Smarty vulva.
So more cramps.
Yeah.
So, now, diving into the soft disc. Soft disc is a disposable menstrual disc. So you use it, you put it, and then you take it out and you throw it away. And so, if you're kind of new to, this might be good if you want to try a disc, but you're not sure you want to totally invest in a long-term one.
Exactly.
They're disposable. They offer up to 12 hours.
Or 24.
Yeah.
Low-key 24.
And so this specific disc is BPA-free, phthalate-free. There's no rubber, no latex, no silicone. So what the heck is it made from?
Alien.
It's alien blood.
Alien menarche.
Yes. Yep. It's made of a mix of medical-grade polymers that are meant to go into the human body. What the fuck is a polymer? A polymer is a natural and synthetic macromolecule. Essentially, it's like a very broad definition. It could be a variety of things, and I wanted to know a little bit more, and that's what I got for you. I'm not a scientist.
Don't come for us.
Yeah.
Dr. Smarties.
Yeah.
Don't.
Actually come for us because I kind of want to know a little bit more about polymers.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come join us.
If you know what polymers are made out of or what types are in this thing, let me know, because that's I want to know what it's made out of, because like this one, reusable ones are made from silicone usually. So the disc holds up to, on their Soft Disc website, 5 tampons worth. Their website, Soft Disc, they have videos on how to insert and how to remove it. And they mentioned that this is a good product for people with endometriosis, which it's Endometriosis Awareness Month, and I'm going to be posting information on endometriosis all month long, and maybe even after that. So go check out my Instagram for more endo content, because it's time to be aware. So it's good for people with endometriosis, PCOS, and menarche, which is heavy bleeding.
Ooh.
Yeah. It is owned by Lauren Schultz, now Wang. So Lauren Schultz Wang. Yeah, that's her last name. She got married.
My mom's gonna be like, what? You like mine?
The whole franchise that makes Soft Disc is called Flex. So they're part of a bigger organization. Flex offers a soft disc, a soft cup, and a flex cup, which we'll touch on later. Boop. The Soft Disc website, though, it's pretty basic. It covers all the things that I just mentioned. If you want to purchase, the site takes you to the Target website. That's where you can get the reviews. Oh. So they don't sell it on their actual website. They sell it through places like Target, CVS, other retail stores.
Walgreens sometimes. Not all the time.
And it's about $16.59 for 14 disposable soft discs.
Not $59. $16.59.
What did I say?
You said $16.59.
Oh, yeah. Whatever. You know what I mean.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean. Yes, $16.59. In the reviews that it has, you have 4 out of 5 on the Target site. The pros are that it's very comfortable, soft. The cons are that it has leaked for a lot of people. But generally, there's a lot of really good reviews from regular users, and there were some outliers saying that with the heavy flow, they did need to keep changing it since they're not reusable. And some said that they are really great for mess-free period sex. And then some people report user errors because if it's your first time, it might be really difficult to figure out where to tuck it behind your pubic bone.
Or if your fingers don't work
your
right.
finger, exactly. If
I
you
mean,
don't have the dexterity,
if you have issues, your fingers always work right. Never misjudge your shortcomings, guys.
Yes, I agree.
Whatever.
Yeah, if your capabilities are different, it can be challenging, especially if it's your first time. And to me, the material that it is made out of looks super thin, so I'm wondering if it can break. Did you ever?
No, my flow was so light. I mean, maybe flows would be heavy enough to like oversaturate it so that it would break. But
I'm more being like with your fingers, because like even this feels so thin that I could just like poke through
although
it.
If you have one of those like super pointy like press-on nails.
Yeah,
but,
just like.
But also, like, what the fuck are you doing? Sticking
I don't
up your hoo-ha?
I don't know. Some people.
I mean, maybe.
So let me tell you about Lauren. She's super cute, super successful, openly bisexual, and I want to say that before I say that she openly states that she started soft disc because she kept getting yeast infections from her tampons. So she wanted to make better products.
What? Yeast infections from her tampons?
Because the bacteria stays in the porosity areas and then messes with the pH balance. Yeah. So she mentions that. She's very open about it, which is awesome. Yeah. And she's really open about her success. On the Soft Disc site, you'll see a history of how the product came to be and the years that followed in its production. And yeah, the gist is in the 90s, Audrey Canente introduced the menstrual disc, and a private company called Evo Femme bought it. There's some modifications to the disc, but fast forwarding to 2016, the disc was failing. And so that's when Lauren comes in, who has this company, comes in and acquires it, and the rest is history. They joined Flex, they rebranded and called it Soft Disc. So Flex has a really cool website. So unlike the Soft Disc site, which is very simple, straightforward, it tells you how to use it, and it takes you to Target. But the company that owns Soft Disc is called Flex, and Flex has a site, and it has really cool pictures and fonts and things to click on, and has more details than the Soft Disc site. So this is where you get to know who and where you're getting this disc from. The products like Soft Disc are manufactured in the USA and Canada. They claim that it reduces 60% of the waste compared to, it reduces 60% of the waste compared to other products when they are manufactured, and that their product, the thing they're made of, is sourced responsibly. On their mission part of their website, they say, "We're on a mission to help people with periods thrive, which means menstrual products are just the beginning. We believe in a world where vagina isn't a bad word, where trans men and non-binary menstruators are part of the conversation, and where nobody is turned away from essential period care due to their financial situation." Yeah. So on their FAQ page, they discuss their sustainability practices a bit more. They also discuss their hypoallergenicness and cite a doctor that recommends them. So to me, Lauren has a really good vibe to her. That's all I really know about her. On the site, you can see the historic milestones that the company has taken since 2015. Lauren actually coined the term menstrual disc to differentiate it from the cup. And they recently put out their first plant-based menstrual cup derived from sugarcane. Yeah!
Plus, I want to add that Laurens are usually pretty cool. Every Lauren I know is cool.
Nice. Yeah. They have a menstrual education blog site called The Fornix, which has articles like 5 menstrual rituals from around the world, which I highly recommend. I love. What's that lump inside my vagina? Best sex positions for each phase of your cycle. and pro tips about using Flex products. They use a variety of people in their pictures and more than just hetero relationships in their pictures too. They use inclusive language, but not 100% of the time. I'm sure it depends on the writer and the topic, and even in one of the articles there was a note saying the writer knows that other people bleed, they just happen to use the word woman in this article. So, all of that said, Eli, out of 10, how would you rate this product?
Well, everything's pretty good, except the disposability. Yeah. Disability.
Yeah.
Accessibility.
Yeah.
God, I'm such a nerd. 8.5.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. I gave it a 7 out of 10 because I like that it's hypoallergenic and great if you're traveling to have a disposable disc. I do think it's not super first-time user-friendly. I wonder a little bit about how the material is manufactured because, like I mentioned before, it's helpful to know if you're somebody who's looking for life cycle assessments of the materials. But I do like that they made a plant-based one, so you could measure the life cycle assessment even more because they biodegrade more. And it seems helpful and comfortable, and the company is so successful. So yeah, while I would like more information about the environmental side of it, they give a lot of information on the Fornix, their blog site, which I think is awesome. So yeah, I give it a 7 out of 10. Yeah.
I also want to say, I have forgotten I've had one in once. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oops.
Whoopsie daisy. Well, yeah. So that is our product review.
Isn't Fornix a part of your body?
You know, I thought so.
Or a part of
Doesn't it sound like it?
Body.
Thorax.
Yeah. Fornix.
Yeah. I don't know what Fornix is.
Fornicate thorax.
Yeah.
Thorax is fornicating with other thorax.
Yeah.
Thoraxes.
Fornix.
Yes.
Fornix. For Richard Nixon.
Nix? All the Nicks out there, we're for you.
We're for you. We love it. So yeah, that is our product review, and we'll be right back with period history. We are back.
Hey, and I got a blanket.
Yes.
Because it's chilly in the house.
And I went to the bathroom, and I just want to say, my period is lit. My period's in full force now.
But it's a Fornix.
It's a Fornix. It's menarche.
It's menarche.
And I'm using...
like, menarche.
Yeah, and it's pretty awesome, because I got my really cool Bam Body underwear on right now, and I love that.
Bam Body booty shorts.
Yes. Okay, we are going to do some period history. So the period history we're talking about today is the history of accessible products for people with disabilities.
Yeah, I'm a fuck ton.
And so it's really worth mentioning that this is a recent development.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm wrong about that, please let me know. If you know of any, please, I really want to know if there have been more instances of period products made for people with disabilities. So I'm highlighting a few that I found out, but they are really recent.
Yeah, I didn't even know about them.
Yeah. So, the first...
And I'm the expert, because I have a disability, obviously.
Yep, that's exactly, yep.
I mean, you're born with the knowledge.
Yeah, you're born with it.
Just kidding, you're not.
Yeah, in case anybody didn't get that, we were joking.
I'm a snarky puppy.
The first product, we're going to talk about a few different ones very briefly, but please go if you're interested in more about it. The first product is so recent that they're still in the pre-order phase. So this is 2023.
Whoa.
Not so much history, but it's making history.
Yeah.
This is called Tina.
Tina, we love Tina. Tina.
Tina was made by Eli-ility. It's a tampon insertion aid. It's undergoing changes, but it's to make it more comfortable. So Kite said that the modern tampon applicator hasn't been changed in 90 years, and she mentioned in this article that this came out about when she noticed some folks with spinal cord injuries have been resorting to hysterectomies and other ways to stop periods. And I even saw another article saying that some parents use puberty blockers like Lupron, which is, sidebar, the same puberty blocker young trans people sometimes use to stop their periods. So this aid hopes to allow people with cerebral palsy, arthritis, scoliosis, spinal cord injuries, spina bifida, multiple sclerosis, obesity, and gender dysphoria, and just first-time users to help insert tampons. And it's just an upper arm movement. There's no finger movement. It's just
it looks
one
so cool.
thing.
/ a little bit weird.
And it also has a little feature to help remove the tampon with the string as well. So it's kind of like it kind of hooks it and pulls it out. Their ergonomic features were inspired by vibrators in order to be just at the right angle to be able to insert it, and also to insert it at the right depth too. So, what does it look like to you? You saw the picture.
Well, at first I was like, wow, this looks like a dildo, but it really doesn't, actually. Upon second observation, it kind of looks like a squirt gun.
It does, yes. It
does. Because it has a little...
kind of like trigger. A thing you hold, and then, it comes like, it's interesting.
Yeah.
If anybody does get this product, I would love to know about your experience with it.
Side hustle, I want to buy them and bedazzle them.
That'd be cool, yeah.
And sell them on Etsy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Still in the pre-order phase, but should be coming out soon. Mm-hmm. Okay, further back in history, 2018. Back in the old days. Flex Cup, like we mentioned before, Flex Cup has a disability accessible cup. So, in 2018, co-founder Jane Adam was inspired to create a new menstrual cup because she has Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, EDS, which is a connective tissue disorder characterized by joint instability. And she says that while inserting the cup, she has dislocated fingers, shoulders, hips, and using a cup would be a great solution because they're used for 12 hours, but the main challenge was inserting and removing. She notes that many people using menstrual cups are thin, able-bodied people who can really get a good reach, have good dexterity, and are able to insert and remove. So her product started out as the Kila cup, and because manufacturing the cup was a little bit more involved than a regular menstrual cup, she started a Kickstarter to launch the company. That's when Lauren Schultz came in. Lauren Schultz Wang. Caught wind. And invited Jane and Jane's business partner, Andy, into the Flex company. So what makes this cup different is that instead of needing to break the suction of a menstrual cup by pinching or using your fingers, all you have to do is pull the tab, and the tab is connected to the side of the cup. So it automatically breaks the suction when you take it out. So it's just a pull. It's just a pull to take it out. Side note, Jane is now a corporate advocate because she says that it shouldn't be the menstruator's burden to choose products based on the good of the planet. It should be the manufacturer's job to meet the needs of all users. And that it's okay if you use traditional period products because she's all about accessibility and inclusion, and what works for you is best and is what you should choose. And I love that. And I love her.
But Ash, wait. I have a question.
Yeah.
You still have to put your finger up in your business.
And you still have to fold it.
So, how is that easier? Tell me.
I don't know. Well, the answer is it's not.
Yeah.
So that brings us to our third product we're going to talk about, which is the Sunny Cup.
Sunny Cup.
It's launching this year, super duper recent. The Sunny Cup is a menstrual cup.
So it's a future.
It's a future.
It's not history.
It's not history. It's
So
going
it's
to be in history.
Period future.
Yes.
We
That's what we should call it.
Period future.
This is the period future section. With some like techno.
Yeah. Or like some spaceship landing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Sunny Cup is a cup that comes with an applicator. So while yes, you have to use the applicator with the Sunny Cup specifically, I really like where these are going. This applicator looks like a large tampon applicator. So it's like,
but it's like,
but it's huge because it's for a cup.
Yeah.
But so here's my little thoughts. What if you could use Tina, the tampon inserter, to use you get the Sunny Cup applicator, you put it in the Tina, and then you can use the Tina to insert it, so you don't have to like use your fingers at all, and then you can
deploy
use the Keela cup with the extra long stem. And then pull it out. Then
whoa!
So if we combined all the aspects of these three products,
forces, like in Spider-Man, like in Captain Planet,
it could be so easy. You won't even have to use your fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Allie and Jane and Lauren contact Ash.
Yeah, I got some ideas for you. And then the last thing I'll say about history is, prior to these products. Which also let me know if you know more products, because I want to know. And I will plug them and yeah. But how people with disabilities have managed their menstrual cycles throughout history is through tracking to predict symptoms that they can mitigate. For example, like epilepsy being triggered by certain stages, or pain and things like that. So tracking is super helpful for those things.
Yeah, I wonder if it was the kind of thing where it's like people stayed inside and like treated it like this horrible disease. Is like, oh no, stay away, she's not coming out today, she's on her period. It's like, the hysteria.
Yeah.
Send her the sea, she's on her period.
Yeah.
Maybe the sea water will cure her of the period.
But yeah, so that's all we got to say on menstruation history, and those are all of our segments. Is there any final thoughts or words you want to share to close this podcast out with?
Be kind to everyone. Be respectful of how you speak to each other, and always carry a tampon or a pad or both, because you never know who you're gonna run into. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you. That was very beautiful. Well, thank you everybody for listening, and we love you, and we'll share all of these in the resource guide, and yeah. End of episode.